Dude, where are you going? The game store's back that way.
Dude, trust me, this is way better than a game store.
Oh, hell no, dude. You're bringing me to a library.
Library is good for you!
Oh, hell no. I want to rot my brain.
This is Five Nights at Freddy's The Silver Eyes, the novel I've been waiting for. Now look, we're going to talk about this for a second, but just understand that because it's a novel, I don't really have any footage, so enjoy this lovely background. And it is a library, so shh. The novel's a fun addition because instead of trying to put the player on edge and try to scare them throughout the story, you can just sit down for a couple of hours and read the story that Scott Cawthon and Garrett Breed put together. Because it's still fairly new, I'm not going to go into too many plot spoilers, but definitely give it a read. It's worth it. The book itself is a fairly easy read, double-spaced and nearly 460 pages long, and it only called for a dictionary a couple times. And to be honest, there's a bunch of grammatical errors in it, and it kind of take away from the story and the immersion. It's only towards the beginning of the book, but as you get on through the book, it evens itself out. Also, there's a little bit of an issue with the pacing. It's probably because it's a hard series to write in book format, but there's some times when we were getting right into the action and just to have it ripped away from us. Oh my god, I'm giving a book report. Video style. They say, people are like, you'll never use any of this outside of high school. Look at me now, I'm giving you guys a book report. Jesus. Book follows a girl named Charlotte in the town of Hurricane, Utah. Yeah, that's a good idea. Name the town after a natural disaster. Nothing will go wrong there.
Both today and yesterday.
As the story goes on, you start to realize what it is about this book that makes it so immersive. The use of descriptive words and adjectives paint a fantastic yet horrifying canvas, building up an unusual anticipation, as though you were playing the games. I found myself smelling the smells, cringing as the characters felt pain, fearing for their lives as they came mere inches from death. It's not Shakespeare, but it's certainly written well enough that I didn't want it to end. Though I must say that sometimes it seems like some of the characters would break character just for the sake of plot convenience. I mean, there's a cutesy ditzy girl in here who suddenly becomes smart and observant just once. Now look, I'm not saying cutesy ditzy girls can't be low-key smart, because that's just rude, it's just mean. It makes me sound like a jerk. But for it to happen so suddenly and only once, it felt wrong. It was this huge disconnection in this world that I'm immersed in. Like I said, it doesn't happen often, but it happens often enough that it bothered me. Speaking of the characters and their unusual actions, there's a couple of times in here where I just had to set the book down and walk away. I mean, you can call it meta because I'm the reader and I have an idea of what's going on and the characters really don't, but there's just so many times when I just had to... God damn it! For example, sometimes supporting characters would just take things that are said or happen seriously enough, which conveniently puts others in serious danger, and just play it off like some type of joke. It's one thing to take a certain happenstance as a joke, but when a place like Freddy Fazbear's Pizza is involved, you don't want to joke about that. People have died. People will continue to die. And the police are just like, oh, it's my son, he just plays jokes all the time. The book is just riddled with convenient plot devices, and it makes me wonder if they put any real thought into the world happening around outside of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. It's not a horrible thing. I mean, the plot needs to progress, but sometimes it just feels really forced. It does confirm a theory I had about the second game, though. At one point, the characters stumble into a control room that have all sorts of controls, and they start playing with them, and they discover that it's controls for the animatronics on the stage. Now, how does that confirm a theory? Well, if the animatronics can be manipulated by a bunch of kids, then that means that Smiley Grape Guy was trying to kill me using the toy animatronics. You jerk. Now, it may sound like I'm talking bad about the book, but I'm certainly not. Like I said, it's no Shakespeare, but it's definitely worth a read. You could probably find it online like on Amazon or maybe like a Barnes & Nobles or even at your local library. So, If you can find it, definitely give it a read. You won't be sorry. In a way, I'm almost upset that there isn't going to be a Five Nights at Freddy's 5. I think it's just because, you know, Five Nights at Freddy's 5 and 5 and 5. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm pretty glad, because Five Nights at Freddy's 4, while good, it was a stretch into the lore, and it almost felt like it didn't belong. Five Nights at Freddy's is coming to an end with its popularity. At least it seems that way lately, and it kind of sucks to say because I was really digging it. But as I said before, Five Nights at Freddy's 4 felt so far away from what originally drew us that it almost feels stale. It's not a bad thing. I mean, the games are still really awesome. Scott Cawthon himself acknowledged a slip in popularity. He posted a Steam saying that the loss of the hype is normal, and that he thinks it's incredible that Five Nights at Freddy's got an entire year, when most other viral things last a week to a month. So, it's pretty safe to say that Scott Cawthon isn't going to be making any more Five Nights at Freddy's games.
Hey dude, have you checked out Five Nights World?
Five Nights World?
Yeah, I just downloaded it on Steam.
Alright, let's go. Oh. Left this here. Well, that explains where that went. Gotta be careful of those continuity errors. People point those out. Anyway. There we go. Let's play some Five Nights World. So one thing that I heard about this game is that it looks a lot like an Atari game, which, I mean, it could be kind of cool, right? Some of the cutscenes in the other games were looking like Atari games, so what's the worst thing? Oh, what? What am I looking at? What? 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 Why? Why? Okay, I don't know about this one. The 3D elements are really unappealing, and the constant switching from a small Atari-like screen to this colorful, large, vivid 3D battle is headache-inducing. I mean, there's no transition. It's just boop! Alright, there you are. The animatronics are just too lively. The UI is missing some critical information for RPGs, like, what level am I? What are my stats like? What leveled up? What do these attacks do? Well, actually, the truth is that there was a patch pretty damn fast, so we can at least see what the attacks do now. But when this first came out, that wasn't the case. Looking through the menus is a hassle because every time you leave a menu, you have to sit through a loading screen. Really? Every time? Woohoo! Loading screen's the game! I'm bored. The combat is way too chaotic, especially right out of the gate. A player should not have to ask, what's even going on, as many times as myself and several other YouTubers did. I mean, it's one thing if a player needs to take time to learn everything if the information is taught well, but in this case, it's painful. Team member recruitment makes me think of the Djinn from the Golden Sun games. You beat them and they join you. Which isn't bad, but the encounters with the new characters feel random and not thought out at all. Encountering Withered Bonnie just out in the open, in a field, in a forest? That doesn't make sense at all. Why not a graveyard or something? This game is just screaming, whoa guys, Five Nights at Freddy's characters to me. I mean, I know I said I wanted a fifth game and all, but I didn't mean like this. Now, obviously I'm not the developer, so I don't get a say in what he makes, but this isn't good. This isn't good. Now, Scott has started to patch the game, but I don't think any amount of patching can salvage a truly upsetting game. This doesn't damage the reputation of the old games for me either. If anything, it makes me cherish them that much more. Five Nights at Freddy's is a fantastic little series. You know, save the last one. Scott, though, please, know when to end the series. Know when enough is enough. Too much of a good thing becomes a bad thing. You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Now, I haven't beaten FNAF World yet, and in its current state, I don't know if I can, or if I even want to. But knowing Scott, there's something dark and twisted behind this cutesy little face job that FNAF World has. Whoa, Jesus! There's something more to this game than meets the eye. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. Scott has acknowledged the decline in popularity in Five Nights at Freddy's. He also says that there are always going to be big new things for us to enjoy, and hearing Scott say that fills me with determination. Say what you want about the Five Nights at Freddy's series. They were horrifying, they were horrible, they were good, they were bad, they were amazing, they were embarrassing, whatever. Scott Cawthon created something that a lot of people really enjoyed, and brought a lot of people together. In my mind, he's secured a seat as one of the best indie developers of all time. Agree or disagree with that opinion as you wish, but I've never seen a fandom blow up quite as big as Five Nights at Freddy's has. And that fandom has spawned a ton of Five Nights at Freddy's related art, games, comics, toys, and so much more. Music's great. Scott, if you ever see this video, even though I think your last couple of Five Nights games weren't nearly as good as the first 3, I do want to say thank you. Because you've implanted a creative outlet into the minds of a ton of people. You brought a ton of people together, all with the same interest in this heartbreaking but wonderful story that you've told throughout all the games. So thank you so much. I am looking forward to seeing what new games you come out with, but please, leave Five Nights at Freddy's with whatever integrity it has left. Speaking of checking out the next big thing, what is the next big thing these days?
Oh.
Thank you guys so much for watching part 3 of my Five Nights at Freddy's Insight trilogy. If you guys missed the first 2 parts, we talk about Five Nights 1 and 2 here, and 3 and 4 here. If you guys want to see more from me in the future, consider subscribing. We're very likely going to have a part 4 because Scott has announced a new Five Nights at Freddy's game coming out, so we'll end up seeing each other one more time. Anyway, that's enough outro jibber jabber. I'll catch you guys in the next one.